All right, thanks for your patience. We're going to get started. All right, so to get everybody on the same page, if you're not familiar with PureLink, we've been around 22 years and counting. So we've been doing this a while. And the company was really born out of a need to solve issues that were not being solved, most notably HDCP, key management, and EDID management. So the world's first cross-platform matrix router that provided that type of management was from PureLink back in the early 2000s. This is just a quick overview of the timeline of innovations from PureLink. So as you can see, we have many things. We're not going to go over this in detail, but you'll get this presentation after the webinar. You're welcome to take a look at this, but the slide is supposed to represent many engineering innovations over the years that have just basically made things easier and better for integrators and end users to successfully manage their video, audio, transport, and distribution. All right, so let's dive in. These are our solutions. We're going to be going over cameras and streaming encoders, as well as some different control options and different types of switches used in presentation and collaboration. It's just an overview, as well as our icon control system, which has become very popular and successful in anywhere from huddle rooms to full collaboration conference rooms, as well as presentation spaces and even more. So we'll go over those as well. I'm going to go through each of the products and we can talk about applications for those products. The first one up is our VIP Cam 10. This is a USB 2.0 output camera with optical zoom and motorized pan, tilt, and focus. It also offers Visca and Pelco control over USB, as well as the remote control, which allows you access to on-screen menus and adjustments of color balance, iris, and allows you to create presets so you can set and call those presets. And those presets can also be called over Visca or Pelco. So this camera's target application is for when you want to have a more professional presentation using Teams or Zoom or GoToMeeting, where you might want to present multiple image zones. So you may have a presenter, but you may also have another presenter, or you may also have some product you're trying to show or something else. So this allows you, instead of just having a fixed camera in your presentation, you can use this to have multiple image zones. The next one up is our Cam 30. Now this gets into what we call pro presentation. The quality of the camera is very high. The optics are professional optics, and the pan, tilt, zoom mechanism is also very high grade. So it allows you to use these cameras in follow presenter situations. So if you have House of Worship or some other presenter where you're doing talking head shots and they're moving around, and you've got a joystick controller, for example, which we'll show you ours in a moment. This camera does a really superb job at that. Now it has 20x optical zoom as well as 12x, and it has a number of different output types. USB 2.0, so again, it can be used in huddle rooms or conference rooms, but you also have HDMI out, so you could connect this to a switcher. You might have multiple cameras, and it also is capable of streaming directly out of the camera, so you can do RTSP or RTMP streaming outputs on the camera. The remote control allows you lots of different adjustments. You can go through the menus for all the settings of the camera, as well as pan, tilt, zoom, iris, and you can save multiple presets from the remote and also call them from the remote. And again, all this is also true using a Visca or Pelco controller. So I can set and call presets from any Visca or Pelco compliant controller. So applications here would, of course, be Zoom, GoToMeetings, Teams, and so on, with the USB 2.0 output going into a laptop or desktop. So you can do meetings, but you can also do live presentation, IMAG, so very, very low latency on this product. So IMAG is an application that it's really good at. The next product up from that, it looks almost the same, is the VIP Cam 100, same footprint and body of the camera, but this is 20x optical zoom, 12x digital zoom, but it has more output types. So I've got HDMI, but now I have 3G SDI, and I also have NDI HX outputs. So I have a number of options there. So that's great in broadcast and presentation, podcast, and so on. So this is definitely, we no longer have USB output when you get to the 100. So this is meant more for presentation, broadcast, podcast type applications. And the latest offering from us is the Cam 200. Now we've put USB 3.0 on here, as well as HDMI and 3G SDI. And now we're doing NDI HX2. So it's the higher quality version of NDI HX, but we still offer RTSP, RTMP streaming outputs and full professional grade optics. And we go 20x optical zoom, just like the ones before, but now we have 16x digital zoom. And again, very pro grade PTZ mechanisms for a follow presenter in live situations where you might be streaming or broadcasting the presentation. Again, Visca and Pelco control compliant, and same story with the remote control, full feature set remote, along with saving and recalling presets. Okay, so we had talked about control a few times here. We do offer VIP Cam Control 1. This is a 4D joystick controller that can be set Visca or Pelco individually for each camera that it controls. So you can mix and match, but commonly you would go with really one in real world applications. But this is a nice small footprint. It's about the size of your hand, and it's very fast to set which camera you want to control, and you can build your presets right from the controller for each camera and call those presets as well. Okay, so take a look at this. This has been very popular because of its footprint. It's also got a great price. I'm just doing the technical side today, but feel free to reach out to your distributor or dealer and talk to them about this product, as well as the others. All right, so last in the cameras, this is our Huddle Cam 400, and this is a very significant offering from us because, like you've probably seen, there's other camera soundbar microphone combos like this. What's different about ours is that the camera, it actually has a motorized pan tilt mechanism. So why is that an advantage? So if you have, with many of the other brands out there, you've got auto tracking like we've got. When you auto track, what's really happening under the hood is you're using a subset of the total chip, and you're just grabbing data from a fraction of that chip. That's how you're getting your pan and tilt from the camera. But instead, what we're doing to minimize that, because that is clearly a loss of total resolution of the chip, we have the motorized pan tilt that actually moves the camera to minimize any electronic pan tilt. We do still have that, but this allows you to have the highest resolution quality image. So this is what sets the Huddle Cam 400 apart from the other products like this from other manufacturers. Okay, so you have auto tracking that you can enable or disable and set a few different modes to that. We also have 5x digital zoom on here and signal noise reduction and dynamic range. There's 4 microphones built into here that serve the purpose of auto tracking to find the speaker, and the microphone pickup range is up to 16, just under 16 and a half feet from the product. So that's a reasonable size presentation room. And there is an option extension microphone you'll see on the lower right here that you can put on the conference room table that has a LED to let you know the state of the microphone. If it's green, the microphone is live, and if it's red, it's muted. And there's a button in the middle to change the state of that. Okay, so this is fully compliant and compatible with Zoom and Teams and Google Meet and GoToMeeting, and frankly, many of the other meeting platforms, because at the end of the day, really all that's happening when you hook up these cameras to a laptop is they become an audio and a video source. And that is a choice that you can select in your meeting software program. So it really is quite easy. It's plug and play. It's a USB 3.0 connection to your laptop, but it also offers an HDMI output. And then the USB 2.0 output is to connect the additional microphone puck on the table. Okay, I can also tell you the sound quality of this thing is quite amazing. It's got a bass reflex in it, as well as the speakers, so it has a really wide sonic range to it. All right, so that's going to wrap up the camera section, and now we're going to be looking at some switchers. We'll start out with some broadcast switchers and then look at collaboration presentation switchers. So the first one up is our 601 switch. This is 6 inputs. It's got built-in multi-view. So if you hook up a monitor to the multi-view output that you'll see in about the middle of the back, you can either do SDI, 3G SDI, or HDMI outputs to the multi-viewer. You can see your preview program as well as previews of all the inputs simultaneously. So you've got 4 3G SDI inputs and 2 HDMI inputs on here, as well as an auxiliary audio input and audio out that you can send to your audio system. Okay, so it's fairly simple. It's got wipe effects and cut. You can do wipes from different directions. So it's nice, compact. It's definitely applications for mobile broadcast as well as house of worship and podcast and applications similar to that. And then the other production switch that we offer is the 6000. So this has some really cool features to it. It's actually 4-in-1 product. It's a production switcher. It's also got a audio video recording, so you can record the main bus onto an SD card. And it also has media playback. There's 2 USB ports on the far right that you can use as media players. And then finally, it's got camera control on it. It's basic camera control, but I can control up to 2 cameras. I've got in the upper left, you'll see a pan tilt joystick. Then I've also got zoom capability there. You've got additional inputs here for audio. You see the XLR balanced inputs, those faders on the top that allows you to mix different audio sources. So you can take audio from video inputs or audio from audio auxiliary inputs, and you can mix those and then send those out the main bus. The inputs 5 and 6, you'll see it's in the lower right on the back panel, but you'll see DVI. It's actually DVI-I, so it can be analog or digital DVI inputs as well as HDMI. So and you can also do VGA technically, because that falls within the DVI-A standard. So you've got your 3G SDI, DVI, and HDMI inputs, as well as your USB media playback inputs. So very flexible. And you've got luma and chroma keying, so you can do lower thirds on here quite easily, and quite a number of effects here. So of course you've got wipes and so on, but you've got picture in picture, picture on picture, and you can size and move those about as needed. Okay, so that's our production switches. Next up is our collaboration hub. This is 8 inputs. Now you'll notice that we've got not just physical inputs on the back, we got some HDMI and USB-C inputs, but we've got these dongles here that are both USB-A and USB-C that can connect to Windows or Mac laptops. And so just a click of the button on these dongles, and that source would become the source on screen. You can also display Apple or Android phones by simply doing the mirror function on the phone. And if you look in the bottom middle, there's we're showing you the splash screen that's actually got all the connection information. So when somebody first turns on the Collabora or there's no sources being shown at the time, this page gives them the steps to connect their phone or their Mac or Windows laptop. And the good news is there's only a few steps to do any of it. So all the information is easily listed on this splash screen for connectivity. So you can show anywhere from 1 to 8 sources simultaneously. The screenshot in the lower right is an example of 7 sources being shown at one time, but it's possible to do any combination from 1 to 8 and choose which one is the main screen. So that example also shows in the upper left, there's a source that's predominant with 6 sources as smaller windows surrounding that. So it's all completely controllable, and we'll talk about our icon control system in a moment, but we have an icon driver for this to easily control this from our control platform. Okay, so let's look at some presentation switchers. Our PSH20S is a 4K 60 seamless switcher with auto scaling of the inputs, and it's got 2 independent output scalers. So it's 8 in, 2 out, so 2 output buses, and each one of those I can set to different resolutions. So if I've got 4K 60 monitor and I have a 1080p 60 monitor on the second bus, I can set my scaler appropriately for that. The inputs, the first input is HD base T, and we include the HD base T transmitter in the price and in the box with the unit. And then you've got 4 HDMI inputs. It's inputs 2 through 5. And then you've got a VGA input, that's input 6, and input 7 is DisplayPort, and input 8 is USB-C. And you'll see some mini Phoenix connectors above the first 4 inputs. Those are balanced audio insertions. So if you want to bring in a different audio source on top of those video inputs, that's possible. Input 6, which is VGA, you've got a 3.5 millimeter audio jack, bring in audio. Now on the output side, you can extract audio per bus. There's 2 output buses, so you'll see a balanced stereo mini Phoenix, and next to it is a Toslink connector, and each output bus has its own set of those. In the lower right, you'll see output 1 is HDMI and output 2 is HDMI in parallel with HD base T, and we do provide the receiver included in the price and in the box for that HD base T extension. Then you have some control capabilities. You've got LAN and RS-232 control of the switch, and then there's also the capability of entering information in the built-in web UI to set commands for the displays. So I can have, when this unit's turned on or off, I can have it control those displays. It also does CEC, so I can send CEC commands to those displays. as well. And we've got audio mixing, so you'll see on the far right of the front panel, I've got a volume knob, and that can set the audio levels of each of the two output buses independently. So when you press that volume button, it'll change between those two output buses, and you'll see in the volume meter on the right what levels you have set. All of this is completely controllable through the command document for the switch, and we do have Icon and QSYS drivers available for the 8x2. Okay, so a lot of applications for this. You could have this anywhere from staging and rental, hotel AV, corporate conference rooms. You can have this in home theater. There's smaller office type situations, anywhere from medical offices, there's retail. So there's a lot of applications for the PSA20S. So if you have some questions, in a project you're working on, if this is a good fit, just reach out to us. We'll be glad to help you work that out. All right, so we're going to take a look at its little brother, which by no means is less powerful. This is 6 inputs by 1 output. And the first 2 inputs are USB-C that offer charging. So if you connect a laptop, one of the newer laptops with USB-C to the PS610, that's the only cable you need, because it will charge and you can send video and audio into the switch. And then you've got 3 HDMI inputs on the back of the main switch, HDMI 3, 4, and 5. But you'll notice the HD-Base-T receiver below that comes in the price with the product. It connects to the output, which is parallel. So you have HDMI 4K 60 out and HD-Base-T 4K 60 out to the receiver. The receiver has a local HDMI input. So you'll see I've got a select button on the front where I can either pick the HD-Base-T input from the main switch, or I can pick the local HDMI in. So that allows you to have a source right next to your display, as well as sources over by the main switch. As in terms of audio, you've got an audio line input balanced. You can do unbalanced as well. And you do have audio extraction on the main switch. And then you'll see on the HD-Base-T receiver, you also have audio extraction. But another significant feature of the PS610 is that it has Dante 2x2 input-output. So I can bring 2 channels of audio in from the Dante network into the PS610 out to the outputs, HDMI or HD-Base-T. And I can also take the output bus 2-channel audio into the Dante network. So this is a significant feature, allowing you not just to bring in Dante audio, but to send it anywhere on the Dante network, including codecs and amplifiers. So you might have a Dante amplifier going out to some speakers. So this will interface seamlessly with that. You'll also see some multi-view options we're showing here in the bottom left. So it is possible to show anywhere from 1 to 4 sources simultaneously, and those different layouts are represented in the bottom left here. That's all accessible through the command API. So huddle rooms, conference rooms, staging rental, hotel AV, and presentation situations where there's a single screen. So there's a lot of opportunities that we think you'll find the PS610 fits nicely for. It's going to take us now to look at one streaming and coding device, and then we're going to look at some Dante and control. All right. So the Stream 200, this is a streaming to the masses type of product. So if you're just trying to broadcast far and wide, this allows you to take any HDMI 1080p 60 output and send it anywhere, because the endpoints are what we call soft codecs, and that can be YouTube or Facebook or Vimeo, Twitch, and Wowza and Boxcast, and so many others, but it allows you to reach the masses. So a product like this is used very commonly in house of worship, but there's also a lot of advertising and digital signage and various types of fitness, as one specific example to help make that more clear. There's a well-known Taekwondo organization that uses the Stream 200 to broadcast their classes to those who, for any given reason, can't make it to a facility. So you can watch the classes online. So that could be Taekwondo or yoga or P90 or who knows what, but there's a lot of opportunities there. The other thing that you can do is this is putting out 264 and 265 streams. So there's more and more displays now that accept that signal type as an input. So if you have, let's say, a large venue or an entertainment venue or breakout rooms, narthex, and it goes on, you can take a source and distribute it almost endlessly to locations over the network. So it makes it very easy to quickly distribute and expand distribution of video audio around large areas like stadiums and so on. Now it does 3 simultaneous output streams. So you can do RTMP or RTMPS as one of the streams, and then you could do RTSP or TS as 2 other stream types. So it does allow you to go to multiple platforms simultaneously. And once you set up the Stream 200, it's really a one-time setup using its built-in web interface that's extremely friendly. Then it's really just a matter of activating the output. And we do offer a splash screen that you can customize. So if you're not actually streaming your content and you just want to put up a splash screen when the content's not going out, you can upload any custom screen to let people know, the broadcast is starting, at a certain time, or other messages you might want to send. It also does provide, through the command API, I can do overlay text. So if you want to add messages with overlay text over the video, you can do that. And you can change that as quickly as you want to send commands. So you can modify the on-screen messages as often or not as you need. All right, so we definitely see this as, the way of the future for large-scale distribution. So please take a look at that. And I think you'll find it a valuable option for a lot of your applications. Okay, we're going to look at some Dante products that we offer and talk about their applications as well. The first one up is a dongle that basically plugs into your laptop and allows 2 channels of audio out of your laptop to go into the Dante network to be distributed as you need, or you can take 2 channels of Dante audio from that Dante network and bring it into your laptop. So you have 2 choices. Okay. Other types of dongles we have are XLR, so balanced, typically found in professional audio. So in this case, you might be taking 2 channels of Dante audio into an audio mixer. It's one possibility. And then complementary to that, we have 2 channels of analog audio that you might want to then send onto the Dante network. So that example may be coming off of an audio mixer, taking the main bus, for example, or another bus and distributing it through Dante to other Dante-enabled devices. All right, then we look at our install type products, and the next three are really the same product. They just have additional connectivity. So we start with our 4 input, 4 output rack mount Dante interface with DSP. So I can take 4 channels of analog audio in and convert that into Dante, send it out on the Dante network, or I can take 4 channels of Dante audio and convert them to analog and send them out to devices in my rack or my system. And we have a full suite of DSP. You'll see these screenshots in the upper right, just a few of them, where I can do adaptive feedback control and echo cancellation, noise suppression, ambient noise compensation, automatic gain control, compression and expansion, and of course, EQ and mixing. The 0404 has a couple of big brothers, the 0808. This is just the same thing with more analog inputs and outputs. And next one up is 16 channels input and 16 channels output converted. Okay, so great for installs where you're trying to convert some number of analog to Dante or Dante to analog, and also provide processing to those signals. Okay, so that is our Dante products for collaboration, and we're going to take a look at control. So why would we look at control? A lot of these rooms, anywhere from small huddle rooms to large conference rooms and presentation facilities, a large venue and so on, you need to control the entire environment. So we have an award-winning control automation system that provides kind of a la carte construction of anywhere from a very simple single panel control system to many panels of different types and many endpoints and connection interfaces, around a venue. So why is Icon an award-winning product? It's because it's offering the same level of power and control and automation that you find in some of the top brands of control automation, but it allows you to do it with very little programming knowledge. So we actually, our programming interface allows you to program by using mouse clicks to create your code, as well as just selecting from drop downs just typical English language information that allows you to create your code. So that's one reason why we won Best of Show. And the other reason is that our panels have built-in controllers. So you don't need, like, for example, QSYS requires a core, and Crestron has, the Pro 3 or the RMC and so on. It's additional hardware to add to the panels, but Icon panels are controllers. So you can buy just a panel, and in many cases, you have your control. We do offer a la carte add-on pieces if you need them, and you'll see those in a moment. So again, programming interface, this is really an important major advancement in the control automation industry. Is now I can not only very quickly learn how to program because I'm not using deep proprietary languages, I'm using English and I'm just doing drop downs, but also I can get up and running much faster. So my time to implement, I'm spending less time, aka less money, on the programming side of it, and I'm getting my system up and running, and also maintaining it is a lot easier because it's so simple to code. So if I need to change anything later on, it's really not hard. So let's look at the hardware, and then we'll look at one screenshot of the programming interface. But first up, you'll see just kind of an overview here. We've got a few panels, and then we've got an expander and a master controller. So that's kind of the family of Icon hardware And again, you don't have to buy all this. You could buy one item and just mix and match or add as you need. So any scenario you can think of, well, I want a 4-inch touch panel. Okay, we can do that. Or now you want to add a 10-inch touch panel with the 4-inch, you can do that. Or you can have more 4-inch touch panels. Or maybe you want a keypad in one of the other rooms. That's also possible. Or maybe, you want to add 20 more panels. You can do all that. It just is easily scalable. All right, so the first one up is the 4-inch wall mount. This has onboard LAN. The touch panel is powered PoE. So as soon as you connect this touch panel to the network switch, as long as it supports 802.3 AF power, this panel is going to boot up. And you can program this panel directly from the Easy Control software and just be up and running in no time with your control system. And by the way, we're just doing an overview of Icon today, but I highly recommend you come to the Icon classes to really see, how simple a lot of this is. Like, for example, in this screenshot, you see some lighting controls, audio control, inputs, and presets, and so on. All these are templates that literally take seconds to place on your project canvas. So I can build that in a matter of minutes and then program it in a very short amount of time. Okay, so again, this could be your controller, just this touch panel. Then we have the tactile keypad here. So I got 10 buttons that have LEDs. I can control the state of those LEDs from my programming. And I've got the rotary push button dial that I also can completely manage through programming. K10D offers LAN. It is PoE, but it has a couple of COM ports and relay and infrared control, as well as a digital I/O interface. So it's pretty self-contained. By the way, you'll see a note here. It says works as interface for Icon C8 Master. All of these interfaces, the 4-inch panel, K10 keypad, and the 10-inch panels I'm about to show you, can be set into what's called terminal mode. And what that does is the panel no longer is a controller, it's an interface for the C8 controller. So here's the 10-inch tabletop. You see it's got a kickstand. It's also powered 802.3 AF, which, by the way, is the lowest power requirement of PoE. The maximum power draw of that standard is 15 watts. So it's very low power. So it's essentially very much like the T4W, but it's tabletop and you have a much larger canvas to create your interface from. And there's also a wall mount version of the 10-inch touch panel. That's really the only difference. Instead of a kickstand, it's got a gang box that we provide you with the panel to mount it into a wall. So the Icon C8, this is a controller with lots of I/O, as you see, but it's obviously not also a touch panel. So if you need this kind of connectivity, you would couple any one of the interfaces that we've just looked at as the user interface for the C8. But it's also possible to serve pages out of this C8 to Chrome, Windows, or Mac. So you have other options besides the proprietary touch panels. And then finally, there's the expander. Now, of everything you've seen, this is the only product that does not have a controller built in. Its sole purpose is to add additional control connections to the system. And because you connect the E4 to the network, I can put as many of these expanders onto my system as I have available IP addresses on that network. So you can literally have a corporate office building with 100 conference rooms in it, and I could put one of these in each of those conference rooms and have them tie together for a whole building control system. So it offers COM ports and relay ports. So as an example, you might have a T4W touch panel, but you need a few COM ports. So you would just add this to that T4W, or it could be the T10 or the C8. So again, it's very a la carte. You put together what pieces you need to make your total system, if you even need more than one piece. All right, so we're going to just take a quick look. This is just a fraction of what we go over in the Icon webinar, but the purpose of this slide is to show you that you're creating code out of English sentences that are ultimately drop downs. So I may want a conditional statement, which is an if, then, else statement, like you see here. Or I may just have a button change the state of something, or I may have a button send a command. So near the bottom, you see call driver. So there might be a button that when it's pressed, it sends a command to a device. In this case, it's asking for the temperature data from our PS610 6x1 switch. And then when it receives that data, then it prints that data to the user interface. So that information, and there's many, many other things you could do. You could have if you reach a certain temperature, you might display a warning pop-up window. And so there's a lot that you'll learn from coming to the Icon Easy Control class. So please do that. Okay, last, we've got other products that aren't necessarily collaboration products, but you might find them useful in your application. So we've got audio insertion devices, extractors, or Hemexa here that actually allows you to insert audio onto an HDMI cable. And it also allows you to extract audio from that HDMI cable. So it's a very cool tool. It's been very popular, but you may need things like HDBaseT extenders. Maybe you've got a projector up in the ceiling and you don't have our PS610 or 820 and you need to move video audio, another 30, 50 feet or more. We've got HDBaseT extenders, we've got fiber extenders, and we also have AV over IP extenders. So we have every type of technology to allow you to extend signals, including keyboard, mouse, USB cameras. So we have pretty much everything you need. Just reach out to us. We offer, pre-sales engineering support. All you need to do is talk to us about your application or project, and we'll help you find the right products, even if they're not ours. We want to help you succeed at the end. So, all right, last but not least, the most important thing about our products is that we stand behind them, and we want you to experience the reliability and performance of those products. So there's really no better way to do that than to have it in your own hands. So that's what Test Drive is about. All you have to do is contact our sales department and request a 30-day test drive of any product, not just what you've seen today, but anything in our catalog. And we'll be glad to send it to you and support you during those 30 days in testing or controlling of it, or learning more about some of the detailed features of the product that you test drive and so on. So I'm stressing that you have to take advantage of this test drive because it will really prove to you in your own environment what these products are capable of and how sturdy they are. Okay, so take advantage of the test drive. There's many ways to stay in touch with us: Facebook and X and Instagram. I prefer LinkedIn. That's just me. But of course, you can follow us any way you like. When you go to our website, there's a pop-up to enter your email. If you do that, then you'll get our newsletters, which go out. Well, we do e-blasts every week and the newsletter every month. So that gets you on the list, and you'll know all about what's going on. And I believe you get automatically entered into a Amazon gift card giveaway if you sign up on our platforms to follow us. And we have lots of videos on YouTube as well that you can take a look at, including the webinars. So that's it for today. I appreciate everybody joining us. We'll have more webinars coming up. If you need any specific webinars on certain products, we're happy to do that for you. Just reach out to us. We do custom webinars by request. So that's it for today, and thanks for your time, and I'll just stay on if anyone has any questions. Thanks.